Hi, I want to do a video about different purchases in dive gear that I now in hindsight, while knowing where I went and how much I like diving, and what I feel was perhaps a bad purchase, or what I might feel was a very limited factor. But I understand why I did, and usually it was because the cheapest way possible to get started, and then when you know how much you really like diving, then you can add on certain costs. And when you change to a better job, because I had a low paid job before and now I have way better salary, so I can have a bigger range of gear accessible to me, of course. But the first thing is that I would probably recommend, if I know that you like diving and know that you're going to do it a lot, go with a proper dive computer. I hated that Leonardo Cressy dive computer. One bottom on the dive computer should be illegal. I hate it that much. It was so unintuitive and unfriendly for the user. It takes like 10 clicks to get around the whole menu, hold for 3 seconds to enter or whatever, and let it be for 3 seconds to get out of that menu. It's like it takes so much time underwater to go through the different dive settings, and to get light you have to push amount of seconds before it start to light up. So during a night dive, or when it's a bad visibility and you don't see the screen properly, you be standing there with a computer and a lot of things happen. And during a low visibility and night dive, I think that I want a screen that are lit all the time, so you can see the numbers, the information at a very quick glance. So, and not just that, when you get up from the water and I should start to log the dive, I couldn't because the computer had a scratch kind of protective thing which always have condensate on it. So I couldn't see the numbers. So I had to go down and make it wet and then start writing the log, or wait until I got home. It's super stupid. Then I got a Morris HD Icon. Super good computer for recreational, but it was not a tech computer as I expected. I didn't do tech at the time, so I didn't know what to look for. I should have read on more onto it before I did it, or asked around a little bit more, but I didn't know that I would even do tech. I just knew I wanted a computer with a nice screen that has very very clear and very obvious, that you see what it's trying to tell you, that it have big numbers, big and a lot of colors to it, and that is very intuitive and very easy to get a reading of the status that you want to know, all the important stuff. I think it was a little bit overpriced since it didn't have the tech capabilities, but I think if they took away the different gases and made it cheaper, it would be a good computer. Or if they add helium to it, it would be a good computer. But it's not just that, it also the algorithm. I don't know what algorithm it has. I want to know that. And I prefer to have Bullman. And this, I don't even know what it was. So it's hard to cross check and see what they were calculating, what algorithm. I would like to have that information. So I now have a Perdix, which I'm very happy with. But back to that Morris HD Icon. I really love that they have a 4-button display. So you can go in with one button on a menu and out with another. And you have a left and a right buttons. So you can go either way in a menu, to that direction or to the other direction. that was very good, and I think that's probably the best bottom I have on any computer this far. I really love that 4 button display. It's very intuitive and it's very easy and have very little dual purposes for each button. Because with dual purpose for every button, then you have to go sometimes around and do it again because you double clicked something, or even with the Perdix now, when I've had it for over a year or more, I still sometimes get confused when I'm going through the different menus and it becomes a big duplication of work. So the only thing I don't like with the Perdix, which I think is the best dive computer in the world, by the way, is the buttons. More than 2 buttons, make it 4, and I would have no complaints whatsoever with the Perdix. But back to the Morris. So it has a good thing. It had air integration. I use that a lot. You can see your air consumption. You could put in like 200 bars and how many liters your tank is. I had twin sets, so I put 12 times 2 means 24, and said like you're now at 12 liters per minute. Now you're being up to 17. Now you're being up to 24. You're being stressed. You can see that like okay, I have to calm down and all that. And it has a good color scheme going on. Green, and it's all good. When you start have something yellow, you start looking. It could be how many bars you have left, could be your NDL, and I think you can set a max depth. And I had at the time the deep diving specialties of 40 meters. I think I had that it should warn me that if I cross 40, it should warn me about that. So that could also be that it's showing yellow or red. When you see something red on the computer, you know that it's time to pay attention for whatever it is. It was pretty conservative, I would say, because I had several dives down to 40 meters where I had on the dive planner a couple of minutes. I don't know how many minutes, but I dove with Nitrox 28, I think it was. And the other hour diving always has so much more. So I went from conservative to medium, then from medium to the least conservative setting they had on the computer. And still with Nitrox and they not having Nitrox, I still had lower ND on that specific depth. So it was very hard to unify that algorithm with other that had Suunto or had Shearwater or whatever. And I think that was a little bit tricky. It's easier if you have Pullman and can choose your gradient factors or have something that other use as well, so you can easier have the same, rate and the same NDL for the same depth and from the same gas mixtures. So I love the recreational dive I did with it for the most part. But when I went the advanced recreational trimix, I noticed directly, boom, it had 3 gases available, but it was up to 100% oxygen. But they didn't have trimix. They didn't have any helium. Then it's not much of a tech computer, since you shouldn't go deeper than 40 with air or nitrox. You should have helium to help with the narcosis. So it was a very limited factor. So I had to get a new one very quickly, and I got a Perdix, and I'm super happy. And I'm never going to have another computer than a Shearwater in the future, or for a foreseeable future. So that was a limiting factor with the computers. The single button computers I really hated, and the bad display. I want a big display on my computer. I want to have several buttons, preferably 4, but if Perdix only have 2, okay, 2 is the minimum. I want Bullman as the algorithm, and it should be able to have trimix nitrox up to. You should have at least 50% nitrox. If you can have 100% oxygen, that's good as well. So that is what I feel makes sense to me. So I would probably had gotten a thick computer earlier because I had to buy several computers now, from the Cressy to the Morris, which I thought were more tech capable. Then I could have just gotten Perdix directly instead of the Morris HD icon. But I think that Morris changed from their previous that they had to the I think it's called Genius now. They have Trimix. I don't know if they have the same algorithm or if they changed, but they should have done that directly. Another limited factor was when I bought my first dry suit. I bought the D9 Breathable. Just directly after I got it, they had a new model out, the D9X. I think that could have been good if I waited a little bit, but I didn't know they were about to release that, so I went with the D9. The problem was it didn't have any pockets, and when you went over to a twin set and not a BSD, and you didn't have pockets on the BSD, and you didn't have pockets on the dry suit, then I felt like, where should I have spools, reels, extra mask, wet notes, all that? Then I had a problem. It was super flexible. I love that you could pack it down to such a small little package. It was very light, the lightest at the market at the time. But they didn't have pockets, and that's something I really think is it's a must-have for me. I need pockets. And I would also say that I now need integrated boots. I don't like loose boots. A dry sock, then cold water, then a boot. I think it makes it colder. I rather have integrated boots, so you have a thicker sole and have no water in between you and the boot. It gets warmer. At least that's my experience and opinion. And after the D9, I didn't get the X model. Then I changed to Morris XR Kevlar. Sorry, Morris, I had to shit on you again. I love the idea, by the way. I love the dry suit, but it didn't work. So it was a bad dry suit. I think they took it out of the market and I got my money back. I love the service of Morris. And I've had a problem when I always get a new back when I send it to them, that it was something problem. I think it was the seams that they need to glue it again. Then it was something with the zipper. We might have it twice with the zipper, that the zipper cover was in the way. You couldn't close the zipper. And the pockets kind of disintegrated. I didn't even use the pockets in the beginning. So it was I can't say it was good suit, but it was feeling very good on the body. It suited me very well. At first I felt like it looks kind of weird, like a tweed jacket, almost like this grayish kind of thing. But after a while, I think it started to look good. But I was a little bit on the fence first, like, I don't know if I like the looks but I loved the design of the pockets, but I didn't like the pockets quality. It had great big roomy kind of pockets. He had like a pocket between the pocket and the suit, and had a big pocket with two compartments, and he had a good little pocket with a zipper on the lid of the pocket. It had good loops to fasten everything with bolt snaps in the pockets. So the pockets should have been good if the quality was right. And I loved the boots. It was very nice boots. Have no problem with those boots that were integrated on that suit. And it had a ring system, which I always adds to my dry suits nowadays. And I also use always silicone seals, both neck and for the cuffs. So I had to change that several times. Then I got my money back, bought a Santi E-Lite original 90 Plus version, And then I also bought Ursuit Heavy Light, I think called, super nice and light dry suit. I have no complaints about those two suits. They works good. So that was a limited factor. Don't buy anything that doesn't have integrated boots or pockets, or my recommendation, because that makes it so much simpler and easier for yourself, and don't limit yourself. And I would say also that at least have ring systems are very good, so you can put on the gloves yourself and don't need help with the latex on latex. When you have latex seals here and you have latex gloves, you always need someone else to put that on. And if two people have that and don't have any ring system and you're two out diving, then one probably gonna be wet, because it's hard to put on that with, if you get your dry suit gloves on and you try to get his dry suit gloves on, it's very hard. Then you almost need surface support to do that for you. So I usually think that someone always needs to have a couple of ring systems. I have ring systems now, but I don't use the ring system. I just take away the seals and put the gloves directly into where you usually have the seals. So my gloves are stuck to the suit directly, at least on the Ursuit, because I started to have a problem with the ring system. I never had that before on the Morris. It always always worked very well, but now it didn't do that all that well. Then I was like tired of it, like fuck it, I just stick it directly into where you have the seals, and it's been working very well since then. But that make me not being very helpful if you need something afterwards that I put my suit on. I have to help you before I put it on. Later, after that, my hands are very unflexible. So computers is one thing that I gone through. The suits, I would also say that, yeah, BZDs. I think it's very nice and comfortable and good in many ways with the BZD jacket style, but I think if you have the funds for it, go for a jacket style BZD. No, I mean backplate and wing instead of a jacket style BZD. That you use that, because it's very modular. You can use it for twin sets or for single cylinder, and you can add stage buttons to it, because you have a D-ring on each breast and one on the hip. Then you can use that, and it's easier if you're going to have canister torch, or if you're gonna do some trimix dives, you can use that backplate for the argon bottle or the suit inflation bottle. So it's very, if you take the backplate itself, that's the backbone of everything. You can do everything from cave dives to the deepest trimix dives with it. That is like the backbone of it. Then you only have to change the wing from a double wing to a single wing and a single tank adapter. Then you can do regular dives with it. You can do twin set dives, tick dives, recreational dives. It's very much open for all kinds of dives. You can do tropical dives, you can do tick dives, and you can change back and forth very easy. It doesn't take a long time to do so. So I would say that getting a backplate and wing design instead of a regular jacket style BZD are definitely worth the money. If you know that you really are into diving and want to advance and keep every door open, then I really suggest that you get that. Is there something else while I'm at it? I think this probably cover most of it. I could put regulators in there as well. I have nothing against the Aqualung dual core which were my first couple of regulators. But one thing I want to kind of put in here, that the regulators, if they have a fifth port and preferably a swiveling turret, you can use it for anything. For instance, I use my MK25 Evo from Scuba Pro on twin sets, side mount, and single cylinder. So I use them for all the open circuit diving configuration possible. That's that's flexible. So if you get a first stage, you might consider to get a fifth port and a swiveling turret. It doesn't have to be any specific brand, but that opens up a whole lot of options if you want to change your configuration. Because if you go with a regular kind of first stage that has no swiveling turrets or fifth port, they will be less routable, or what do you call it, the host routes would be strange. Because if you have a fifth port with side mount, for instance, I use the fifth port for the inflation of the dry suit and the inflator hose to the BCD on my side mount. So without those fifth ports, I would have less streamlined and smooth routing of the hoses. The same with twin set, I put them pointing like a V. So I use the fifth port on both regulators. One for the backup hose that you have on a regulator necklace, a bungy loop with two knots on the and a zip tie against the mouthpiece on the second stage regulator, and the second fifth port I used for the inflator of the BCD or the wing on the backplate and wing design, that is. So I think it's very handy with the fifth port and swiveling turrets. I would probably go with that, and if you have that, you can just buy another and you can start doing side mount or twin set. So then you don't have to buy two new regulators and two new seconds and first stage. Then you already have one first stage and one second stage and can buy the exact same first stage and second stage and have a twin set and regulator setup ready. You only have to change the hoses to a long hose configuration, and I use a long hose configuration also when diving single cylinder, so that might actually be something to consider as well, that you get a long hose configuration on your single cylinder configuration. It makes at least much sense if you have a Hogarthian kind of setup with the backplate and wing. I don't know how it would be on a jacket side BCD. I never had it. I haven't thought much about it, but at least if you go with a Hogarthian kind of doing it right, GUE tech style kind of configuration, I think that's the best for every kind of diving, also with a single cylinder, not just for the tech. I like when tech kind of things trickle down to recreational. For instance, before nitrox was called like wood gas, but now it's very commonplace and is getting used very widely amongst sport diving. So that's one of the things. And the octopus was also an idea that the tech diving started with and became commonplace, and now a must-have also with the sport diving. So I hope that the sport diving and the recreational diving start with the backplate and wing more often and start with the long hose configuration. Well, that was about that.